I would like to tell you a story about how we can use a data security platform and a data security solution for another function, for another task, and how our product management describe it and find it that, wow, it is a very new feature and not a bug, and we have a new product in this case. So I don't know how many of you familiar of Thales, who we are, what we are doing. How many of you heard about Gemalto? It's better. So Thales and Gemalto merged approximately 3 years ago. And because Thales and Gemalto has some kind of common line of business, so we have some kind of merged products. Of course, we have some separated product lines like the general purpose HSM, payment HSM, and some other things, identity access management, whatever. But we have one common product since this merge. It is our data security platform, what I will talk about. Formerly it was Warmetrics, another side it was Key Secure. So right now we are calling it Cypher Trust Platform, which is a complete data security lifecycle management platform. But before I talk about, tell about the story, do you know what the common in these things? I don't know that you recognize what does it mean. So Coca-Cola, chips, penicillin, Viagra, sorry. But what is the common? We have some other things, for example, X-ray or something like that. So the common thing that all these inventions by chance. So it is some kind of side effect of something. So they didn't want to intend to have it, but they got it. So this is what we have sometimes, because you are and I am also from Eastern Europe, and we have a lot of story when the Eastern Europe engineers found out some new function in a security products which the vendor engineer didn't know that it is in. It is some kind of hidden function. Did you hear about it, or did you recognize something like that? Because I did. So formerly I was the team leader of Fortinet in Hungary more than 7 years, and some partners recognize some hidden function in the firewall itself, what we didn't know. That, wow, really? It is working here? Nice. It's a new feature. So this could happen because we have lack of resource, lack of money, and lack of everything. And because of this is very limited circumstances, as limited chances, we have to cook what we have in very limited time. So the story what I will tell you, it's a typical Eastern Europe story, but unfortunately it's not invented by us. It's invented by our US team. They started thinking in Eastern Europe guys. So, as I said, we have a new data security platform, which we called Cypher Trust Data Security Platform, which is a complete data security lifecycle management, starting from the discovery, the data discovery and classification, through the protection, till the control, management, auditing, whatever you want. So we have very nice diagrams, what we have, key management, multi-cloud key management, whatever. It has so many different modules. One of these modules we called transparent encryption. Transparent encryption because you can install it in file level and you do not need to change the architecture, the existing architecture. So practically it's transparent to the applications and the developers, everything. So it's simply able to integrate to the existing architecture, and you do not need to stop the service because there is a live data transformation module. So practically it can encrypt the data on the fly when the system is working. It's very good. And our engineers starting to thinking, okay, what we are doing in this case, we install this module on a server side and file level. And we are monitoring the I/O functions, the I/O requests, plus we are monitoring the entropy of the files itself. Okay, it's good. And what the ransomwares are doing? The same. So, if we have this kind of function in our servers, and we are using it with a white list, not on a blacklist mode, practically we can have a server-side ransomware protection because we can block all the functions of the ransomware itself. Even it has already infected the machine, it cannot do what they are. Not bad. Not bad. Why would it be important? Because as Mikko said, ransomware is one of the biggest problems of the world right now. We heard a lot of ransomware infection, what we had in the near past. These data came from our research. So luckily, we have a yearly worldwide research about the data security, and we got a lot of information about the worldwide customers. And close to 20% of our customers said that they have already had ransomware attacks. Really? It's not a small number. It's huge. But only half of them has some kind of formal plan what they can do. And the other things, why it's important for us or for our customer to have this kind of server-side part, because the typical ransomware vendors has focus only on the endpoint. So we have EDR, XDR, whatever solution, but all of these solutions are focusing only to the endpoints. But how many of you heard that, for example, a very talented engineer went to the data center and plugged their laptop directly to the console port of the server and try to fix the firmware or upload or change or something? I heard a lot. But in this case, and XDR or the endpoint protection is useless. So you need to have something on your server side which protect your server's data, which can be a file server, which can be a database server, whatever. Yes, we know what are the fallouts of the ransomware, but except these things, it can threaten the human life itself, because we heard one incident in Germany when the ransomware attacked the hospitality system. And the emergency team routed the emergency car to another hospital which was much farther than the previous one. And unfortunately, the guy was dead till they arrived to the far hospital. So it is a real threat, not simple to our system, but directly to our life. Okay, it can be an unusual incident, but it is serious. So how does it work normally? So in the upstairs, there is authorized user. For example, in a file server, there is our agent. Our cipher trust manager recognized that according to the whitelist, it is allowed access and allowed the access to the guard points, and that's all. And if a ransomware try to do what they want to do, our cipher trust management can, because it's in a whitelist, cipher trust manager can recognize that, oh, it is not allowed, and they just simply blocked. So if you remember, approximately 15 years ago, Cisco had some kind of same solution. How many of you remember on Cisco Security Agent? Sorry, I am only this old guy who remember that. So Cisco had this kind of technology close to 20 years ago. But they stopped it. I don't know why. So can you imagine that near 20 years ago had the same technology to protect everything? They recognized, I mean, the product manager of Cisco, well, it's too difficult. Whitelist is a wasted technology, so they just simply drop it. And right now, they haven't got it, but we have it. So it is a very simple new usage of our existing transparent encryptor technology. And of course, it is true for this technology, everything what I said before, that it do not need to change your architecture, it do not need to change your anything, simply just install, and then you have a protection. If you need, just for ransomware, if you want, you can deploy the encryption as well, on the fly, anytime. One interesting data. It is just a forecast that within 10 years, the cost will be close to $300 billion just for ransomware. So I think ransomware became more and more important, all of us. And you need so many layers to protect your data, not simply just endpoint, server. You need some kind of protection in cloud and any other era where you are storing your data. So this is the complete data security platform what we have. And here is the ransomware and encryption part. And how many of you heard about this platform before this presentation? And there is another interesting thing. How many of you are using containerization technology during the DevOps function? Okay. I think it's more and more popular. And based on this containerization technology, you have much more secrets what you had before that. Because previously, you simply need to manage all these things only. And all of these things are crypto keys. And if you manage these things, it was simple to have. Manage the crypto keys, put it into the HSM, full stop, you are okay. But since we have these containerization technologies, the life is much more difficult. Because we have much more things that we need to protect. Not simply just the crypto keys, but certificates, tokens, API keys, simple credentials, which are dynamic or static credentials. So referring to the keynotes, so the guy said that, for example, tokens, why important, all of us, and why important to protect your tokens, for example, in this case. But how you will able to manage all these things. So for example, if you are using GitHub, how many of you using GitHub in this case who are using containerization? A lot. I think you are using a lot of other function in GitHub. You are using infrastructure script and a lot of other things. How you control your credentials, your access things which are into the scripts, which are into your codes. How can you avoid that when you are uploading this part of your coding and scripts, that your secrets, especially credentials, access things, will not be there? Could you? Sometimes yes, sometimes not. So in this case, you need some kind of, let's say, secret management, which is much more than privilege access management. For example, in the finance sector, there are a lot of requirements to have some kind of privilege access management, only to the privilege accesses, the routes, and so on and so on. But this is much more, because privilege access management is focusing practically for the administrators only. But secret management, first, it's much wider scope, not simple just the credential, but as I said, tokens, API keys, and lots of other things. Second, this is focusing on the containerization and the DevOps functions. So practically, you have a lot of threats what you are focusing, you have to focusing, and you have to protect. In this case, just connected to the GitHub, all of these things you need to manage somehow. when you are creating some kind of infrastructure scripts to set up virtual infrastructure, just 1 second, and you are uploading to the GitHub. Or if you are creating some kind of application code, or not just creating, you are downloading something which your DevOps team would like to use. It can contain a lot of secret. Without a consistent management of this secret, of these credentials, of these tokens, whatever, can be possible that just suddenly or by the chance they simply upload or download something which they do not want. So it is another new era of the data security platform. And for us, it is also a very interesting thing because it's new for us as well. Because till now, we as Thales focusing on the cryptos only. So if you heard anything from Thales, you just heard about our HSM, payment HSM, general purpose HSM, or encryption part or whatever. And all of these things are simply just crypto keys. Of course, we have another functions for the containerization, so we can, we can protect the infrastructure itself as well. So if you would like to encrypt the containerization infrastructure, we can provide a solution. But the secret management is a fresh new solution for all of us, and it is also a new era for us. I don't know how many of you facing this kind of new challenge to manage all these things. I mean, secret management, whatever, in ransomware, or how you manage it. Of course, I came from Hungary, so I know that in a conference, a lot of people do not want to share some kind of secret between the presenter in front of the other attendants. So I can imagine that it is very sensitive. But if you would like to speak about these new things, Avolo guys can help you. Our distributor exclusive will be here. I will be here, so we have time to see you and time to speak about these new challenges. And if you would like to simply just play, we have a nice VR game here. Well, you know, we need some fun as well because our job is too serious to do not have some kind of fun part in this case. So our colleagues created some kind of VR game, shooting, hacking, whatever you want. So you can find it in the stand of us. And as I said, I'm sales, so I cannot tell you too many details in technical part, but I can tell you one thing. This is not my sentence. This is a much more famous people say. It's a minister of US. That hope is not a strategy. So if you just praying every morning that please don't collapse the system, don't thief our data, so it's not enough. You have to do it, something. Thank you. But if you are enough brave and ask some things, I am ready to answer if I can. Yep.
Speaking from perspective of development and the DevSecOps, can you tell me why to choose your platform if we have almost all of these functionalities in HashiCorp Vault, which is mostly open source?
Um, in technology part, I have no too many arguments in this case because I know our competitors. I have only sales arguments in this case. In some cases, our licensing are much more flexible than HashiCorp. So sometimes HashiCorp solution became extremely expensive instead of our solution. Plus, as I said, back to the things, our platform is much more complex than HashiCorp. So as you can see, secret management is just one thing in our platform. So if you need a complex data security platform, starting with the data discovery and classification, or just simply as a DevOps team would like to protect the infrastructure itself, I mean encryption of the infrastructure, protecting the infrastructure part as well, it cannot be by HashiCorp. But in the secret management, honestly, there is not too many difference, as I understand the technical point of view. But if you can see the whole picture, our solution is much more complex and much more usable. And because it is modular, you can start with this and extend with that, whatever step you want. Yep.
Thank. This is great. Organizations that use your platform, what data do they typically protect and encrypt?
It's different. It's different about the vertical of our data of our customers. So, for example, one of the typical usage in Croatia to encrypt the database servers. For example, in finance institutes. It is a very typical usage. So I have more than 3 customers in Croatia who just purchasing that part only. But, as I said, it is a door opener. And when they started with the database encryption part, they could realize that, okay, but finally we recognize that we have some kind of cloud applications as well, and we can extend, they can extend the encryption and the key management to the cloud applications and cloud environment as well. So they just simply purchase another connector, another module to extend. Finally, they recognize, okay, but we have this cloud. We recognize that we still don't know where are our data. So one of these customers from these 3, we started to discussion about the data discovery part because they want to know where are their data, because they recognize that they still don't know where are their data. So it's different how you approach or how you start the deployment.
I appreciate it might be challenging to take like a blanket approach because to your point, you could be working with someone in finance, needs to do FIPS 2, 1402 compliant. You might be working with someone with retail. I guess the crux of my question goes, what percentage of the organizations that you work with or your team works with, do you see them actually encrypting data? Is it 10%, 15%, would you say?
In Eastern Europe, it is a challenge because to deploying this kind of solution, it prerequisites some kind of security awareness level, which we hasn't at this moment. So only just the top few percentage of the customers started to think about this kind of solution. Even that, for example, in Croatia, as a part of EU, everybody should consider in GDPR, whatever, and should somehow protect the data in the cloud because of the Schrems II decision, whatever. So comparing to Western Europe, they just simply heard about Schrems II decision and everybody immediately start to encrypt their data in the cloud. How many of you heard about this Schrems II decision? So Schrems is an Austrian guy. It's a data protection, data security expert, and they won in the European court that the decision said that every companies, every organization who has storing the data in cloud environment, despite it is in Europe or in US, if the provider is a US company, because of the based logic of the cloud environment that you cannot divide that it is European part of the cloud or it is a US part of the cloud, has to control the data on the same security level like in their on-premise system. It means that there are some options, can be the control in only administrative control, but can be technical. But because most of these big cloud providers are big companies, Microsoft, Google, AWS, whatever, you cannot control your data security in administrative way because they will not change their contract just because of you requested. So practically, you must do it in technical ways. And Western Europe company immediately to start some kind of technical control after this decision. In Eastern Europe, okay, it's another control. So, as I said, only the top few percentage of the companies. In finance, mainly in finance sector, because finance are the most regulated verticals at this moment. And after the DORA will be live, it will be much more regulated than anything else. Okay, NIS2 will a little bit change the situation, but how many of you heard about this NIS2 and DORA regulations? It is a new European Union regulation which they accepted last year, end of last year, and there is only 2 years to deploy every country. It is a directive. All these things are a directive, so it is not as strict as the GDPR that every country needs to deploy in the same way. The countries got 2 years to modify their own regulations, own law environment, and put these kind of controls into their own legislations. So I can tell you our Hungarian practice, so practically we are understanding this kind of regulations very flexible. So I don't know that in Croatia how flexible it is. So I am expecting that in Hungary we will have the lowest level of the adoption in this case. But the general text of NIS2 and DORA, NIS2 is the general directive, DORA is only focusing on the finance sector. and these directives has some kind of very specific things. So for example, NIS2 simply named the encryption as one of the key elements of the data security and should deploy every organization which covered by this new directive. So I don't know how Croatia will adopt this part of the new directive. Will it's named in the law or not, or something like that. So now I can tell you what the NIS2 is in a general text. I hope that it will increase the awareness or enhance the awareness somehow to the encryption, but everything depends on the local adoptions. I'm sure that in DORA, in the Finance Institute, will increase it, but the rest part, I don't know. I just hoping. Anything else? Thank you for your attention. Thanks.